my heartfelt desire to be an open and structured channel for unconditional love in the unique expression that is Rosie. I am feeling so incredibly blessed, grateful, happy, joyful, ecstatic today. And I'm excited to share some practical advice, tips, tricks, all those words come to mind. I'll say tools, some practical tools that I've employed in my life that have greatly helped my ability to feel more happy, more ecstatic, more peaceful. And these language shifts and some other changes that I'm going to share are all geared to help us move out of our head and into our hearts. So this episode is inspired by a lovely goddess, a friend of mine that I was conversing with last night, and she made the comment to me that I'm something to the effect of I'm very good at being in my heart, and I was so touched by that comment. It meant so much because I can look back at my life and realize how much practice, how much growth, how much development that has been required of me in order to move more into my heart and into my body and out of my head. I was exceedingly intellectual as a child and as an adolescent, very much in my head, very much used my intellect as a defense to as a defense, also as a way to connect. And I do love communication, and I love sharing ideas, concepts, and all of those things. The mental aspect of being human is super beautiful. And to the extent that we are getting lost in the mind instead of being aware of it and using it as a tool, we actually become subservient to the mind. We become a slave to it, per se. And so these tools that I'll share here are to help create more perspective in order to move us kind of to a broader, a zoomed out view, so that we start to realize more that we are not our mind, and we are not our body, and we are not our emotions, that who we are in our essence is something that is conscious and aware of all of those different aspects of being human, and has both the pleasure and the responsibility to act as the director of those different components, and to direct them, to navigate them, to manage them in a way that is conducive to an overall more expansive way of being. So one of my favorite ways, like I said, I love communication. One of my favorite ways to refine myself, to fine-tune myself, to shift into ways that I want to be more of, is to notice and tweak my language. So to notice and tweak how I'm speaking, to notice and tweak how I'm thinking. And language, as far as words and concepts, so verbal language, is very exemplary of what is going on underneath the surface. It's not the same thing as what's going on underneath the surface, and it does exemplify what's going on underneath the surface. So similar to, you can't, tell what's going on with someone just by looking at them, and you can get some really good clues about what's going on inside someone by looking at them. So language is very similar. You can get a really good idea about what's going on inside yourself based on the language that you're using in your self-talk, in your talk with other people, how we write, how we, what are other ways that we talk? I'm gonna trail off here. Y'all get what I mean. I'm gonna guess that y'all are smart enough and intuitive enough to get what I mean, okay? Okay. So noticing how we're speaking and then refining our language in a way that brings us closer to our hearts, to a deeper truth within ourselves, to our spirits, is one way to use our mind as a tool to kind of like hack into our programming. And this can be really difficult because language patterns are very embedded. Many of us are operating on language programs that we were taught as children, that we've been operating on for years, and it takes time to reprogram these things. It takes dedication. It takes lots of self-compassion because it's not going to be perfect. That's been a big part of my process, is learning that I'm, just because I'm aware of a language pattern that I want to change doesn't mean it's just automatically going to shift. It's going to be a regular, like, oh, noticing it, oh, I did that again, and oh, Rose, like, I love you, you know, I hear you, you know, and accessing, like, what is the deeper sentiment that I actually mean to express. Because the more that we can get in touch with the deeper sentiment that we want to express, instead of just kind of the coding on top that we've been taught to say to express what we actually mean, then we can bring more integrity to what we're saying. And in that, we actually end up actualizing more integrity in our life in general, in our relationships, in our actions, in our emotions, etc. So I love language, hacking into changing one's experience through language. And I will say, too, before diving into this specific tools that I have to offer, that, and I share this because I went through this myself, that if we are reprogramming so much language, especially all at once, in a way that is not maybe like butting heads with like trauma that we've experienced, our body isn't necessarily going to receive all of the new like light language that we have to offer it. And that for me was a really like messy process, like, you know, getting really into neuro-linguistic programming and positive affirmations and quantum languaging and really trying to like reprogram my experience. And yet I started experiencing like these bigger and bigger emotions and what felt like more dissonance in my life, really because I was running into the contrast of what I was trying to welcome in. And that was challenging because it took time to see the fruits of my labor, so to speak. And it is also imperative in the process of reprogramming the mind to also get in touch with the body and to allow for the body to feel and to be honest with oneself about the present moment. So for example, just because I may want to let go of a programming pattern, like saying like there's something that I need, for example, and I'll delve into that more in a minute. If I'm letting go of this like idea that there's anything that I need, or that for the most part, like I don't need anything, and yet in some moment I find myself really like feeling like I need this. It's just as important to express that that feeling of need honestly as it is to maintain a larger perspective of being open to letting go of that perceived need over time. This kind of language shifting protocol and reprogramming the mind is not a substitute for embracing what is present in the moment, particularly in the emotions and in the body. It's actually a way to integrate those things. So each person's experience on this journey is going to be different, and I always support and encourage everyone to be you and to be as authentically you as you can in each moment, while also being open to a greater and expansive perspective of who you are in your glory, in your greatness, to the extent that you can see, and to even be open to like there being more than you can even imagine, that is able to be integrated and harnessed and utilized and embraced over time. And that can be a really like tricky thing for our human experience, linear time, like the illusion of linear time, and things take time to manifest, and manifestation is in itself a muscle that we can learn to exercise and make stronger, and then see our desires actualize faster and faster, and see greater desires manifest over time. Greater and greater desires manifest over time. Okay, so a few words that I'm going to point to that have been, in my experience, largely unnecessary to a more conscious way of being. The word should. I should not. The word should. What does the word should imply? To me, the word should implies that there is something that I ought to do. There's a connotation of something outside of, like, some kind of authority dictating that thing is the best route. There's an implication that it's something that I'm doing because I feel like I have to, rather than because I want to. So that word should, I found to be largely unnecessary. I found to be largely, like, inaccurate to really express what I mean. I'll delve into that a little more after I list these other few terms. So the word need, again, what does that mean? It insinuates an absolute, an absolute requirement for. Let me tell y'all, there are very few things in life that you actually require. Like air, a little bit of food, a little bit of water. Some people don't even need those, is my understanding. Shout out to the breatharians. A little bit of food, a little bit of water, and connection and relationship, probably with other people, at least with yourself. Those are the things that I'm gonna suggest, like, anyone actually needs. Other than that, like, you don't need it. You want it, or maybe you don't want it, but you perceive that you want it. Maybe you perceive that you need it. That kind of languaging of I perceive that I need it has been miraculous for me. Just being able to create a little bit of space when I'm noticing an old thought pattern come up of I quote unquote I need something, and then And then noticing that and saying out loud, actually, oh, I'm perceiving that I need XYZ, creates a little bit of space that allows me to step back and recognize more accurately, like, where that sentiment is coming from. Okay, so should, need, have to, that term, I have to. Again, you don't have to. Only thing you have to do in life is, once you've been conceived, is die, basically. And who knows? I mean, maybe there's people who have figured out how to live forever. I'm open to that. The point is that these terms are not only limiting, but actually, like, inaccurate. Like, they're not precise the vast majority of the time. And so how can we dig deeper into our insides to actually access what we mean? Like, to actually access, like, what we're actually wanting to express? Because don't we want to be expressing both to ourselves and to other people honestly, like, with integrity, what we actually mean? So for these particular words, should, need, have to, I recommend that when you notice those patterns coming up, that you dig deeper into accessing, like, what you want, what you desire, what you like, and what you're willing to do to get what you want. Okay, and using those terms instead, or other terms like them, whatever feels, like, honest to you in the moment, and as much as you can, like, digging down deeper into your heart, into your spirit, to get to, like, the truth of what you're wanting to express. So many of us have been pushed away from embracing that we are worthy of wanting things, that we're worthy of having desires. This is like such an atrocity, you know, like, we've really, like, pushed away, the fuel of motivation, which to my perspective is desire. Even if, like, your desire is to serve everyone else, like, even if you're, like, in a mindset where, like, you don't want to give yourself anything, you just want to give everything to other people, you still, like, that's a want, that's a desire that you have, and there's something actually that's feeding you in having that desire. So I found that accessing my wants, my desires, my likes, and what I'm willing to do to get those things, largely, like, replaces the perceived need, see, I did it right there, to use those words like should, need, and have to. And another trick, another tool that I'll offer here is that if you find yourself really caught in those language patterns like I did, of using should, need, and have to, that you can build in additional language that will make using those words more precise. So, for example, I'm like, oh, I need to get an oil change. Okay, and maybe it doesn't feel, like, true to say I want to get an oil change for my car. What is more precise, though, is saying, oh, I need to get an oil change because I want my car to function well. I want my car to be safe, right? So adding in more nuanced understanding can help rewire our brains, our minds, in a way that helps us connect, again, more to our desires, which will ultimately give each of us more fuel, more motivation to go after, to live life with. Yeah. This is a really beautiful tool that I just picked up this past summer. Thank you to the person who offered it to me. It's been miraculous. So I grew up as a person who was fairly, like, rigid and serious, and it's been a challenge for me to like learn to be lighter and to laugh and to be silly and to like make fun of myself and laugh at myself. And I was offered the idea of trading seriousness for sincerity. So I'm not at this point, I'm not sure that there's ever necessarily a need to be serious. I find that sincerity serves me well in pretty much all of the situations that have arisen where in the past I would use the word serious, or I would be embodying a serious attitude. And for me, like, seriousness is very much associated with my head, and sincerity is very much associated with my heart. So I've made this huge shift just over the past few months of coming more into being sincere instead of being serious. And that has done wonders for my ability to move from my heart. A language pattern that is so impactful and rampant. It runs rampant. Is people saying, "I don't know." First of all, of course, we don't know everything per se, especially from the perspective of the mind. So what I'm doing here is I'm addressing this at a different level. I'm addressing it at the level of the heart, at the level of intuition. And particularly referring to when people are attempting to make decisions for themselves about their lives, and they're caught in loops like, I don't know what to do. More often than not, I'm going to suggest that you probably do know that through the process of connecting deeper with intuition, with heart, with spirit, that knowing can be revealed from inside of you. It certainly is revealed inside of me more often than not. Sometimes what is revealed is that it is time to be with the unknown. And in that, there is still a knowing, a trusting of the unknown, that the unknown will organically unfold over time to reveal that which I am desiring to know. So I've found a lot of benefit from letting go, to a large extent, not totally, of the phrase "I don't know," and particularly just noticing when I have the inclinations to say "I don't know," and refraining from saying "I don't know," and being with that sense of the unknown inside me, and letting that open up, letting it fall back, and seeing what's underneath of it in my heart. It's not necessarily embracing more of a language of, oh, I know, because that I've found, at least for me, can often like redirect me to my mind and to making more mind-based decisions. This one is more about not getting caught up in the mind via reinforcing the phrase "I don't know," and noticing when we have that thought pattern or that speaking pattern and the inclination to believe, to reinforce the belief that we don't know, especially like in a sense that there's something lacking in our lack of present moment awareness, and to drop back into the heart, to be with whatever feelings we're present with, and to trust that over time we can feel through our heart, through our intuition, what we are seeking out, that we will be guided from inside. Definitely, I recommend when learning to shift one's language, that all peoples, if you feel called, if this resonates with you, trade some talking for silence and listening, learning to actively listen, first both to yourself and to other people. An example. So actually, you know what? Let's flash back. This is a good example for active listening. It's a good reference point. There was a teacher at my high school. This is one of the first times, probably the first time that anyone actually illustrated to me the idea of active listening. A teacher in my high school illustrated how most times when one human is listening to another human, as they're listening, they are planning what they're going to say next. Okay. There is a very different conversation that takes place when that is happening, especially when that's happening on both ends, than in a conversation when one person is fully listening to and engrossed in what the other person is saying, lets them finish totally, and then allows an organic response to emerge. Not a pre-planned one, but one that is responding to the totality of what the other person has expressed. And this can be a very messy learning process because it requires noticing all of the thoughts and inclinations to speak and to create our response and the reactions of the mind that come up while we're listening. And it requires learning to both be with those while we're listening to another person and not react to what's going on in our mind. And active listening is a tool that continues to transform my relationships, and I'm going to imagine relationships in general. So I definitely recommend practicing that skill, definitely in relationship with other people as well as with ourselves, in some kind of meditation, mindfulness practice, in a space where there is very little else to listen to be stimulated by other than what is inside. And messiness is such a big part of learning to be with the alchemical process. Change, transformation, growth, all have messiness with them. So really, really crucial tool that will carry one very far through, that will be used throughout the process of growth, is learning to love your messiness, because this process will be bumpy, it will be uncertain, and it will be uncomfortable, and to the extent that we can exercise a muscle of learning to trust ourselves through those uncomfortable feelings, through the darkness, we can actually speed up the process, because we end up not resisting the discomfort. We end up learning to continue to walk into it with an open heart and an open mind, as we trust, hey, I've got me. Whoa, this feels super wildly uncomfortable and super messy, and I'm okay. I've got me. I trust me. And with that, stretching and working out muscles of self-compassion, self-love, and big one here, receiving help. Receiving help is such a, for me, it's been wow, what a journey to learn to work out that muscle. I know so many other people who resist receiving help, who have acknowledged to me that they resist resist receiving help. And I'll just offer this. Most people I know who resist receiving help are big givers. They love to give. Okay, we love to give because it gives something to us. Like it is a gift to give to other people. Like it's a gift to the self. It's a gift to me to give to other people. Like it's pleasurable. It feels purposeful. It feels intentional. It feels meaningful. Choosing to reject help, choosing to not receive help, is actually preventing another person from experiencing the benefits and the fruits of giving. So if you're someone who like me, who is still learning to receive more and more, and you deserve to receive. Just attempt to reprogram that in your mind, to integrate the idea that it is a gift to the person who is offering you help. It is a gift to the person who you trust to ask, who you're learning to trust to ask for help. It is a gift to someone to be able to give to you. And what a beautiful thing that is. Beautiful thing to experience giving and receiving from the heart. I love giving myself hugs. I love asking other people to give themselves hugs from me, and it's something that I love doing every day. Is I'm gonna do it right now. I'm like as I'm talking about it, I'm like, oh, I want a hug. Hugs from other people, also super wonderful, beautiful, totally, and the experience of giving one's self a hug, which for me, there was like resistance to doing that at first. There was embarrassment. It felt vulnerable. It felt like shame, all these feelings around it, right? Like just the experience of learning to give myself an intimate hug. Wow. Wow. Has so much moved me deeper into my heart, out of my head and into my heart, embracing my body and my feeling and my spirit for all that it is, and also reminding me that I am greater than the sum of my parts, that I'm taking care of myself, that I am consciousness is taking care of my body, is taking care of my mind, is taking care of my emotions. So self-hugs and other practices that help us get in touch with our bodies, that help us feel and cultivate more body awareness, stretching, yoga, other activities, other physical activities can enhance body awareness as well. And if you are new to body awareness practice, if you're only participating in activities that are fairly fast, there's probably nuance to your body awareness that you're missing. So I've benefited from employing practices that require slowing down. And continuing to embrace being with the present moment, whatever is there, and also giving ourselves permission to say, oh wow, there's this big thing here, and maybe I don't have time or space to unpack it right now, and I can acknowledge that it's there. I can give it a little love. I can touch it and go, and I can wrap it up real nice and put it on my heart shelf. put it on a shelf in my heart, give it a little kiss, and appreciate that I'll come back to it, that it will still be there, because it will be until I unpack it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I so desire that the content of this podcast is opening for you, that it is offering you tools and stimulation that brings you more into deeper connection with yourself. I have so much love I have so much love here for all that I experience, and certainly that's a process for me that I'm continuing to unfold, and know that know for my listeners that I love you. Yeah. For my listeners and for everyone surrounding them, I love you. And my intention, my prayer, my desire is that in me expressing that to you, that you are brought closer to love for yourself. Because that's the brightest light that we can shine, is from a place of full self-love. Full self-love. A self-love that at first seems to be love for the individual that we are, the body, mind, emotions that we have as a unit, as a part of the whole. And it's a love that as we develop it, we start to understand, we start to know that love is exemplary of the love that we have for the whole of all that is. Yeah, this has been episode 5 of the Naturally Rosey podcast. I'm just over here being naturally rosy, being myself to the best of my ability every day. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter and Substack at Naturally Rosey. My podcast is on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I'm aiming to get it up on YouTube soon as well. I do have a paid subscription option for my Substack that provides you with a little extra content. Both as it's published, there are some things occasionally that I publish that are only for paid subscribers, and also you'll have access to my full archive of past publications. It's $5.55 a month. Honestly, to me, it's more of a sentiment of you love what I'm doing and you want to support it. And most of my content is free because I love creating and I want to share. So however you fit into that, I am so glad you're here and so thrilled that you're being you. Yes. Much love, and until next time, hasta luego.